Hello, you beautiful people, and welcome to another Grotmas Detachment. If you listen really carefully, you can hear the noise of hundreds of 3D printers going brrr. And if you listen even more carefully, you might be able to hear the thunderous clamour of many marching mighty Custodian Dreadnoughts, because Dreadnoughts are back. I'm so excited. Let's dive in. Okay, so the Solar Spearhead, very, very exciting. I know Custody players are kind of in two camps. Some of us who actually own Dreadnoughts are very excited, and those of us who perhaps wanted a bit more balance and just something to more of a mixed arms approach, maybe are a bit disappointed. But for me, I mean, I played Custodies for a lot of 8th edition, for quite a bit of 9th edition. I haven't touched them in 10th because I'm not particularly interested in that infantry carpet. So this is very exciting for me, and I know lots of people are keen to find out if it's strong and what sort of play it has and that sort of thing. So let's dive in then. So first of all, we've got the detachment rule, which is in multiple parts. Let's face it, dreadnoughts at the moment, custodies, they kind of suck, right? So they've had to really go out of their way to improve a variety of different aspects of these models to give them the opportunity to potentially flourish. So if we look at the first point, basically your vehicles are going to get +2 OC. Usually vehicle stealing objectives is something that's quite tricky, so this is really, really useful. It gives you that ability to go and nudge things off with, let's say, a 5 OC Dreadnought. The really important thing to notice here is that only when you're at starting strength. Okay, so as an opponent, all you need to do is chip away one wound and suddenly their OC goes back to the pure datasheet ability, doesn't it? So just bear that in mind, but just for maybe hypothetically running through a wall and knocking someone off an objective, that's quite nice. Now then, and then we've got that classic buff that we see quite often used for various data sheets, which is if you lose, below starting strength, you get re-rolling hits of 1. If you're below half strength, you're re-rolling wound rolls of 1. Dreadnoughts are going to spend a lot of their time not at full wounds, and as you all know, 2s re-rolling 1s is pretty tasty. And then we've got a lot of high strength stuff in this army, so then the fact that we could be re-rolling 1s as well, hitting on 2s like that, just creates such incredible efficiency with the army, and that's going to be great for your shooting and your combat. So we're starting to tick over in terms of we've got a bit more utility there. But one of the main weaknesses of dreadnoughts was the fact that they only move 6 inches, and now what's this? They're going to get +2 to their move. And the walkers, so not the vehicles or anything like that, but your walkers are going to go up from 6 to 8. Plus, they get +1 to their advance and charge rolls. So hypothetically, that could be +2 to your charge, to your move, sorry, +1 to your advance, and then +1 to your charge. If only there was a way to advance and charge A. Well, maybe there is. So now we're starting to really up the speed of this. And because there are people out there who are going to be wanting to play with characters, also just pure dreadnoughts, two of your walker vehicles can become characters, which means you can give them these tasty enhancements. Choose one to be a warlord, and you don't have to take any of the custody or sisters characters, which is quite nice because they are quite expensive, aren't they? So that's really useful. So overall, as a selection of different detachment rules, we're in a quite nice place. So it's going to be up to the enhancements and the stratagems to really try and round that out. So our first stratagem is going to be one which I think you're going to see a lot of. So it's 25 points to improve the attacks, strength, and damage characteristics of your melee weapons by 1. So I would personally think you're going to see this most likely on a Telemon or a Galatus. Getting 9 attacks on a Galatus is really nice, and making it damage 4 as well. Obviously, Telemons are big scary things, and if they have 5 attacks, you give them double fist. It's 7 attacks. This takes it up to 8 attacks. That's all right. So that's probably where you're going to see it. I could see this one being. I'm personally going to be putting it on a Galatus. Then we've got a 5-up for no pain. It makes sense here to put it on the big durable scary thing, which is a Telemon, which already has -1 damage. So yeah, I'd be putting this on a Telemon personally. But again, Galatus is probably a good point as well, just because they're durable. Right, next one. Reroll hit rolls of 1 aura for infantry and mounted. You'll see in this detachment there are some attempts to say, take bikes, please, take bikes. So I'm sure people will try and take bikes. I own 15 of the things. I would love to take bikes. Personally, not sold on them. Maybe something will change in the data slate. Who knows? But currently, I don't think you'll really see this unless you're going for that more of a. Well, I'm just going to add a few dreadnoughts in here to really ramp them up, and then I'm going to take some good stuff. And then finally, 10 points. Fall back and shoot. It's only 10 points. And let's face it, we often get 10 points left over in a Custodes list. The problem is what it has to go on. So it has to go on an infantry or mounted model. So you're paying the tax for that model. If you don't want it, that is a bit of an issue. So, I mean, it could be on a jet bike captain. It could just be on a normal foot dude. But then, like, who's really worried about fall back and shoot? I mean, the Caladius is the obvious answer, but it doesn't have blast, so just shoot anyway. I mean, you're probably the way people who initially are going to construct all dreadnought lists go. I don't think you'll see this at all. So we've got 2 nice ones. Okay, we've got 2 nice ones there, which I think you're going to see. And then let's look at our stratagems. So when you're being shot at or in the fight phase, basically you're going to get -1 to wound as long as their strength is higher. That's really nice, especially that really efficient shooting that's going to go into you. That could really hurt your dreadnoughts. That's going to be really tasty. I can see people definitely in situations because there's probably going to be a moment with the dreadnoughts where all the dreadnoughts just go at you, turn 2 or 3, and they're going to be like, "Oh, I need to kill this one quickly," and then you -1 to wound it, and all of a sudden they're struggling, and then it's a snowball effect. Other things survive. That's great. So I think you're probably going to see this stratagem used quite regularly. Fight on Death. Now, Fight on Death is a really strong stratagem. Here it's 1 CP for 4 up. That's all right. It doesn't feel great on a vehicle or a walker, but on a walker you get to add 1. So it's on a 3 up. Now, there are obviously going to be times where you're sad face and you are going to roll the 1 or the 2 with your Galatus, but I think that's quite nice, especially on something like a Venerable Dreadnought. Let's say you get your Venerable Dreadnought in, or they charge you. You're going to fight on death. It goes off. You then get to fight it. You die, and then you stand back up with D6 wounds left, and then it's your turn. Like that's pretty nice. So again, that's quite nice. It's situational though. Like you've got to think, if this goes off, is this actually going to have a useful impact? So this enables you to pile in D3 plus 3. The next one. With 1 model, there isn't much room for shenanigans. Really, like that doesn't really matter. So therefore, realistically, the only time you're going to be using this is if you charge 2 things. So you charge 1 thing with 2 dreadnoughts. Use 1 to kill the target. The other one is then, rather than getting 3-inch piling, gets a D3 plus 3-inch piling, and that might get you further along to something else that you didn't charge. So it makes your opponent worry a bit more about screening, maybe try and spread out their army just that little bit more. I think it's the sort of thing where as a player, I'd be constantly reminding them, yep, just remember I've got the D3 plus 3 inch thing just in their head. See if you're probably never going to use it, maybe once an event, but yeah, kind of go down that route. I would definitely recommend. Next one is now. This one isn't quite as good as you first read. So, this is basically vehicle or mounted. You can go through walls. That's obviously incredibly important for the dreadnoughts because it means that they can't get move blocked anymore by terrain or models. They can just go through them. That was their main weakness. So you've got the whole, oh yeah, crashing through the wall type thing. Bikes, obviously, they've lost their old fly from 9th edition, so they have to be going around walls and stuff. So that's quite nice, quite handy. The problem is that if you look at the timing of it, it's not in charge phase, whereas a lot of these stratagems are movement or charge phase. And this is at the start of your movement phase. The problem with that is that if you say, right, this one's the one that's going to go for the wall, let me just roll my advance roll. Oh, I've rolled a 1. Oh, that's not very good. Oh, but I've already declared that this is the one going through the wall. Oh no. Yeah, so you kind of have to gamble on the fact that your advance is going to be good enough. You don't get to roll the advance and then make the decision. You have to do this. You have to make your plan and decision at the start of your movement phase. So therefore, because of the timing, this stratagem isn't actually quite as good as you might initially think, but it is genuinely still good. And probably essential to how the army functions. Next one, advance and charge. Or is able to shoot and declare a charge in a turn in which it advances. Instead, so you can advance, shoot, and charge if you're a walker, or just shoot and advance if you're a Cladius. So Cladius is just reminding your opponent, remember this Cladius could go 16 inches and shoot. So all those sorts of things which make your opponent really alter how they're maybe sorting out their threat ranges and their angles and that sort of thing. So quite nice, but obviously advance and charge through a wall on whatever you want, whatever dreadnought you want, is very good. And then finally, we've got ignore modifiers, including cover. Cladius gun might like that. Telemorn with its guns, because its AP on its guns are pretty shocking. That's certainly something that you could be using it on. So there you are. I haven't played Custodes for a long time. They haven't excited me really for a long time. And when I read this, I became immediately excited and I built lists for it. And that, for me, indicates that this is fun. I'll just get up a list that I've built. Is it going to be a top tier detachment? The problem is it's a skew. It's not an all-consuming, powerful skew, which is going to wipe your opponent off the board. The question is it better than knights, who are obviously looking to do the same thing? And it could well be. I don't think you'll see it dominating the meta by any stretch of the imagination because it just has fundamental weaknesses. I don't think it's potentially hugely scary, but I think it is powerful. I think you're going to go to the table sometimes and just annihilate your opponent, and your opponent's going to have nothing that they could have ever done against you. And other times it might be a bit tricky. So here's a list. I've got a list for you guys. I'm just going to read it because I haven't typed up or anything. So I've gone for 2 Cladius grav tanks with anti-tank guns. Cladius are just really, really good. And I think 2, you could definitely take 3. 1, probably not. But 2 or 3 of those bad boys. I've got 1 Achilles. He's okay, but he is the most beautiful model in in the world. He's so pretty. So I've gone for one of those, just with flamers. And then got 3 Galatus. I think they're good. I think they're durable. They've got lots of attacks. You might struggle to deal with lots of things. So I've gone for 3 of those. I've then got 3 units of prosecutors and 1 unit of witch seekers. You just need to be doing. You don't. Your dreadnoughts need to be overloading and smashing up your opponent. You don't really want them sat around having to cleanse or whatever. It also gives you screening potential in your backfield or up front and all sorts of things. So I like that. I've got 1 Telemon here, and I think Telemon's a really interesting one. I think you definitely do want a Telemon. You could definitely take 2. I think a lot of people are going to lean into fists, and it might not be the right call. I think you probably want shooting. I've actually put 2 Arachnid Storm Cannons on here, and the idea being I'll give this one the enhancement for the 5 up, feel no pain, and he's going to be sat on my natural expansion objective with 1 Galatus, and they're just going to be firing down range and being like, you can't really kill me. I'm -1 damage, I could be -1 to wound if I want. And I've got a 5 up, feel no pain. So good luck. Meanwhile, he can just like chew through loads of infantry stuff. So I think that's probably the way I would go. You could go fist and 1 gun. I think that's another play. And then I have got 3 venerable contempt dreadnoughts, 160 points on a 2 up. They get back up with D6 wounds. So they're basically most of the time going to be getting up and being re-rolling ones to hit and wound. And we all know how annoying things that take 2 different phases to kill are. So yeah, definitely like those. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm starting. I'd love to play a game of it at some point on TTS. I think there'll be a bit of a hobby lag with this. People obviously will be printing this a lot. A lot of these dreadnoughts, they got to paint them and stuff, and you'll probably see some awfully painted 3D printed dreadnoughts in January, I would imagine. But no, I think it's got me excited. It's got some Custodes players excited. I think it's a really interesting detachment. I'm really excited to give it a go. And yeah, as always, thanks a lot for watching. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, become a member, why not? But join the Discord. Definitely join the Discord and share with us the Custody list. We've got well over 500 people in our Custody, in our general Discord. So yeah, come and get the chat going, and catch you next time. Bye-bye.